And your name?
My name is Lynn Ozer.
Oh, neat name. And who are you with, Lynn?
I work for Susquehanna Bank.
So you're the banker.
I'm the
responsible
banker lady.
For all this stuff, right?
Right. I've been doing government guaranteed lending my entire career.
Wonderful.
I worked for the Small Business Administration when I got out of college.
Wonderful.
I worked there for 5 years, and then I've been managing government guaranteed lending departments. So I've been doing SBA lending and some USDA B&I lending. For the last,
I see. That's Department of Agriculture,
30
business
years.
Industrial loans. Yeah.
Business and industry loans, correct. Yes, that's what we do.
And why is that different? It's just a different population? I mean, smaller towns?
It's very, very restrictive from, you have to be in a certain pinpoint location, non-adjacent to populations in excess of 50,000.
Okay. Well, let's get back to this. Let's introduce you. And you are?
Janice Presser.
Janice and
Dr. Janice.
Dr.
Janice. When do you do exams?
Dr. J does them every
Dr.
day.
J does. My nickname is Dr. J.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah.
She's completely opposite of Dr. J, from Philadelphia.
I see.
Julius Irving.
Oh, that's right.
Dr. J, the gigantic basketball player, and she's the little doctor.
Your size.
Twice? Yes.
Okay, I have a great hook shot, and it's just in business. We all bring.
And what is this neat place here that I walked into?
This is the Gabriel Institute.
The Gabriel Institute. So why the name Gabriel?
Well, Gabriel's kind of the all-purpose angel bringing good news.
Okay, good.
And so it kind of stuck, but it's really not related to what we did, which is we created a technology of teaming.
A technology of teaming. So you're a small business entrepreneur. You had this idea of technology of teaming.
Well, here's the
technology. There's no computers, so to speak. I mean, it's not a big that kind of technology.
Well,
computer,
actually, there are computers.
Oh, it is. Okay.
They're just not here. They're all over in a couple of countries.
Wow.
But this was it. It was a long time ago, 35 years ago, and I was driven by this question of how do people really work together? If you think about a startup team, it's pretty easy. I mean, either you have the right people and you can actually do something, or you don't. There's somebody in the room who just can't get the team
like a mother-in-law
business. Could be, yeah. Oh, absolutely, because this happens in families also.
Right.
So I'm a behavioral scientist, and I'd observe teams in a lot of different areas. You know, in an emergency room in a hospital, it can make the difference. If you have good teaming, people will live maybe who you wouldn't expect
to. So this is your business. You're a consultant then?
No.
No. Okay, then what is the business?
I knew that there had to be a way to measure, and so you could predict who would be good on a team, who would work on a team well, and what would they actually do for your organization, whatever the purpose was.
Your business helps people identify who's good on your team?
Through the technology that took
the technology.
25 years of research.
I see. Wow.
And then 9.5 years of development.
Wow.
This is on the web, and it's lots of fun. And this is what you do. Think about movies.
All the time.
Movies are like teams. We love movies because they're like business problems. People get together, there's a problem, and they solve it.
Making a movie, you mean? Or the movie?
The plot of the movie. Right. That's what we love.
Well, it's so nice. In 2 hours, they solve everything.
That's right. And don't we...
My whole life, I've been trying to stop biting my nails. Yeah.
Right. Some problems you can solve really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of your business. Actually, your business is
to
give people a one-stop shop to say, okay, well, what do I need to know about, for instance, getting an SBA loan?
But as far as the team thing, so you've been spending 30, 40 years developing this model.
More than that, it is a technology. So you can go online.
You go online.
And have a fun experience where you are going to get to star in a series of 10 movies.
Oh.
And from that...
So who does this?
Who does it?
I did it.
Organizations, big, small.
So like you have a business running people, and so you could come to your website and figure out how to run your people better?
Absolutely. How to first understand them, because how you understand somebody should drive the way you respect them. If you don't respect people and get what they're doing for your organization, you're not going to be very successful at it. Lots of people, particularly people who want to start businesses, want to do it because they didn't do so well in other things. I was like that.
I flunked out a lot.
Absolutely. And it's very often because other people didn't appreciate what we were doing for the big dream. So I'm really the big dreamer, and you can't get a job like that right out of college. And, you know, you're what we call an explorer, the person who goes off and often doesn't think of themselves as being a great team member because they don't like being in meetings. That's good. Never make an explorer come to a team meeting. Let them go outside and find the cool stuff of value. In fact, by the time we're done with this, I'm going to have you get something really cool of value so you can offer it to everybody. Exactly. Because that's what explorers do. And if you love them for that, you're going to have a great team.
No, you're right. I mean, we all want to be appreciated. You know, we all want to be loved. You know?
That's right.
I see that in everything. And if you're not appreciated, you don't want to be there. And so then you're not going to perform. So you help, I guess, managers or anybody who's managing people.
Anyone who hires anyone for anything, has a team to manage for any purpose, even if it's a nonprofit or anything that you are,
any kind of group.
anything that you were doing.
So it's a way then, it's something online.
It is online.
That you go on and you start
go through this
out.
assessment. You send everybody through it.
I mean, everyone in your team
everyone
goes through
on your
it with
team,
you?
and separately. You do them all separately, so you can be any place.
Right.
So many teams are remote now.
Yes.
Our team is remote. We have team members in various Canada and
the best employees, the ones I never see.
Absolutely, it's true. It's true. And then there are other people on your team who actually aren't employees, but they're people who support you, and that includes your banker, your attorney and accountant perhaps, and other people that might advise you.
So then it sounds like you, let's say you as the manager managing the team, and the individual members of the team take this assessment or whatever and feel, and then start to understand how valuable their contribution can be, and the other people in the team understand how valuable their contribution could be, even though they're weird.
We say unique.
Uniquely
valuable. Not weird, because we're all kind of weird. I mean, how weird is it to try and put a business together?
And I believe that, too, so much, because I feel what's weird about us is our best part.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's the best thing we have to give to anybody. What's weird about us, and everybody tries to beat the shit out. Trying to beat it in us and not display it. When I think it's the opposite.
And if
you understand that, and
if
and
you
get
understand
it from the team.
everyone, and you see it, and you just read it in a report, and it's right there.
It is the most amazing thing. I have taken personality assessments and learn to work in a team, because they do that with bankers and stuff. So they tell you you're an A, a B, a C, a D. Oh, she's an A personality, he's a D. You know, how you get along, how you read people and stuff like that. Or they give you a list of words and you pick up the ones that describe you, which you could easily manipulate, by the way, and then they tell you, this is how you are. Well, I took this test, which is her test, which is not really a test. It's like being in a movie. It's deciding what script you want to be in, and how you want to be, how you want to behave, and what role you want to do, and what other people are going to think of you in that role. It's actually fun to do. It's time consuming. It takes probably 45 minutes to an hour to do it.
Oh boy!
But
well, you got to change your life. It's going to take an hour.
You know what? Any more people want everything is nanosecond. So it is online, but it does take but you get your results back in an amazingly quick time. But when I got my results back, I'm reading it and going, how did they know that from that? Like, there's no way you can manipulate the test to come up with it. And everything in the role-based assessment about me was spot on. And only people that really, really know me, like my husband, would even know stuff like this. And I was like, how did she know that? It's amazing. And then it just shows how you work with different people. But it also picked out stuff that you don't really want to admit about yourself, but you know it's true.
Yeah. Is that good or bad?
No, it's really good. I mean, when you're honest with yourself. I mean, for me it was great because no one else was reading it but me. It didn't matter. But, but when you're trying to assemble a team, or you're trying to look at the team that you have and make sure they're already in the right roles. I mean, from a human resource perspective, this is genius. It's genius.
So that's what it really is. You're developing a team, you give them this test for 45 minutes, then you could see how well they may or may not fit in to what you want.
Also, when you're hiring somebody,
that's what I mean.
You know, the thing is that you look at the resume, and let's face it, they're all designing the resume for what you want them to do. So on paper, they all look exactly the same, but how are they really going to act in your team and behave? That's what this tells you, which is priceless. I mean,
and especially
really.
now with remotely, because teams are working all over the world.
Exactly.
Right? And so now you can just have this team, the test, and figure out better how they're going to fit in instead of talking on Skype and reading a resume. I remember when I first started hiring people, 40 years ago, whatever it was, and I'd hire by resumes. And then I thought, oh God, that wasn't working out well at all. And I figured that, especially with my kind of stuff, everyone had enough stuff to get through what I really had to do, and the rest was sort of like personality. So if I didn't like the person, any little bitty stuff would really piss me off. If I liked them, then I'd put up with all that little nonsense. Sort of like a relationship with a husband and wife.
Exactly that way.
The other thing is there's more applications than strictly in the workplace. Like Dr. J had my son take the assessment because he's a senior in high school and applying to colleges and has an idea of what he wants to do, but what he might think he wants to do and what he should be doing are not necessarily the same thing, and what he's most well suited for. Well, that's true, but the information that she was able to glean from that about him, he took it to heart.
Right, that's cool.
And it's
so then, is it aimed at students like this too?
Aimed at
everybody.
Everyone.
So it's not an outrageous price. I was thinking, well, this is just some big expensive thing.
Oh, the report?
$80. $80. That's it. $80.
Yeah, $80.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
So as an individual, particularly now, people, looking for a new career because a lot of them are out of careers, right?
It would be awesome.
Yeah, and to get a better fit, for $80, you go to a psychologist or all these people. just someone write a resume.
1 hour with a therapist is more than $80, and believe me, this is much better money spent. I agree.
Or even a resume writer is going to charge a couple $100 to do this kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It's dreadful. So for $80, you really have an insight in what you really should be doing in life. And what you're
and then when you think about human resources and when they're looking to hire people, to spend $80 to really find out instead of to hire the wrong person, it's a whole lot more money to hire the wrong person than to spend $80 up front.
Absolutely.
It's an amazing value for your investment.
Oh, that's fantastic. So any new hire then, for $80, you eliminate a lot of risk.
Oh, absolutely. That's probably the highest and best use of it.
It would be to know how to best use that person. That's what I see in all my people that I work with now. When they screw up and things like that, then I feel it's my problem trying to I have to figure out how to best use what they're, can do best. It's not their problem. They're trying to make them, shoot a basketball at 20 feet. They can't.
Right.
I got to find out what they're really good at that I could use that talent to drag us forward. And that's my problem, not so much their problem. So as a manager, this for $80, I can get an insight on how to get out of them.
Oh, absolutely.
What they have the best stuff to give me.
And
the synergy.
I tell you this though. You, as the manager, get an interpretation of the individual, and the individual gets a report on themselves, all for $80. It's amazing.
Is it different?
Each one.
Yes,
they're different.
It's great.
There's they're each different reports $80, but what for the manager, it's really to make you a better manager, because if you know how to manage and respect that person, they will do better. For the person, you don't tell people what they're not good at, because that is not going to help.
They already know that.
It's irrelevant.
Exactly.
If you're on a great team, people fill in for each other.
Yes.
So the synergy that you can get, for instance, as an explorer, going outside. Your ideal partner inside is called a watchdog, and that's a person who takes all that great stuff that you bring in and distributes it where it needs to go.
No, I think that's my biggest problem in managing people. I think everyone's like me.
They're not.
See, that's really true. Yeah. And the worst managers I've ever had are probably the smartest people, but their expectations of others are unrealistic because they expect from others what they expect from themselves, and it's always wrong.
That's why I always thought, I got to find out what they're good at. They'd be running the company if they were good at what I was doing.
Right.
I need, other skills.
You're right.
Yeah, right. That's incredible.
That's right. The last thing I need is another one like me around here. Not going to work.
Exactly.
But I've really been blessed because I have my partner is the executive vice president, you met, is similar to me in that we've had similar experiences running businesses. But in terms of the way he actually wants to contribute to the organization is complementary to me. And when we realized that, I said, wow, this means I don't have to do these 3 jobs. I can just focus on 2. You can do this. And it just makes it so efficient because the value...
Because
we're
those things you're sort of mediocre at, but you do.
I could do, but why do that?
Right, if you're mediocre,
why not go to a job where you fill your... you fill your mission in life, and you feel that satisfaction, and other people get to do their things, and you love them for it.
That's what I hope my whole work is about. Trying to get people to do what they really want to do in life and show them tools to do it, because then they'll feel better, they'll treat their loved ones better, they'll treat me better when I walk in. Or If you're doing something you hate, you're miserable at, man, you're just giving that vibe out all over. Well, tell us about SBA. What's the news for them, and how do people use that? There's a lot of misconceptions, I know.
There's a lot of misconceptions because I've been doing this for a long time. And I think the biggest misconception about SBA lending is that it takes 1 million years and 1 million pieces of paper to get what you're doing. But there's a lot of, I wouldn't say there's a lot compared to the whole world of commercial banking, but there's many banks that have SBA specialists. And the first thing you have to do is make sure that you're working with a bank that has a specialized department in SBA lending. You don't want to dabble in it, because the people that are dabbling in it,
the bank,
they're the ones, if they don't understand the product, it obviously trickles down to the customer. So that's the first thing you do.
How do you find banks that do specialize? I mean, is it easy to say you specialize and then don't? Or is there a list of those?
Yes, there actually is. I mean, you can go to the Small Business Administration, and they still have local offices throughout, which is kind of amazing that they still have them. And their main job is outreach. And you can ask them, who are the top 10 lending institutions in this area, and they can tell you, they have a list of everybody that's done an SBA loan, and the first 10 or 20 have done,
80% of them.
At least 80% of them, and then the other
done one or more.
And you don't want to go to the onesie-twosie
Now,
ones.
on that side, because if you're coming in to, say, you call the SBA and you're looking for the top, 10 banks who do SBA's loans in your area, is there, like the SBA director down in D.C. told me once that it's good that certain banks specialize in certain kind of businesses.
Well,
is that
true? That's certain banks, and this is true even conventionally. Yeah. Banks have industries that they prefer to lend to.
Right.
And in the SBA world, there are certain banks that won't do startups, even though SBA will guarantee a startup loan. There's certain banks that refuse to do them. There's certain banks that won't do loans under $100,000. There's some banks that's what they specialize in. There's some banks that only do loans that are secured by real estate, even though they have an SBA guarantee. And there are certain banks that do the gamut of them. So that's hard.
You notice.
That's right.
Stop twirling?
You did.
I mean, you're still moving, but not twirling anyway. No, it's good moving.
Because this is what Linda. My favorite. Ask another entrepreneur who's done business with the SBA. I went through 3 banks, 3 major disappointments, and then I happened to just, in all my frustration dealing with this, happened to ask just somebody that I have networked with, also a business person, and he sent me. He says you have to talk to Lynn Ozer, and.
So what you were giving good advice, because if you call the SBA office and you say the criteria you're looking for, like you're a startup, this is the industry, this is the size alone would be good, then they could help you point at banks.
They should be able to. And if sometimes I've had people come to me and I'll say, you know what? We're not the ones for you, but you might want to try XYZ Bank because I think that they do it. Right. Most of the competition knows what the other ones do. They're not real anxious to send you to somebody else. But the SBA office, the local office, should know for what you do which bank that they should send you. But they have to be careful because as government employees, they can't recommend any one bank. That's the thing.
There is, I would think then, if you're not familiar with the banking system, you think every banker, like every doctor knows everything. So if one bank turns you down on an SBA, it doesn't mean that no SBA bank is interested.
That's correct. That's right. That's absolutely correct. There's also the National Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders, which is the national trade association for banks that do participate in the programs of the Small Business Administration. They're naggl.org, and you can go on their website and get information about lenders that participate. The ones that are the members are the 20% that do 80% of the loans.
Yeah, so
that's a good resource to find them.
And so if you get that list in your area, then you really have to shop those to find the right.
That's right. The other thing that I think is good, and Dr. J's been the best, is if you find someone else who has an SBA loan and ask them about their experience with and how they got them. Recipients of SBA loans is public information.
Right.
And you can get that, and then you could find a company that you might know someone in and say, what was your experience with the SBA? Did you like working with this bank? Were they receptive to this, that, or the other thing? But you're right in that every SBA lender is not created equal.
Right. So if I'm a restaurant and you don't do restaurants.
Yeah, we do, actually.
You do.
But some of them don't. No. There are a lot of them that stay completely clear of.
So that's why you walk out and say, well, I can't get an SBA loan. That's not true because you have to shop.
Yeah, you do.
And do it. So it's like getting a date. When one turns you down.
Yes, that's right.
But even in conventional lending and people that don't need the credit enhancement, some banks have an appetite for lending to people who purchase investment real estate, and other banks are staying completely clear of it right now. It all depends on their own portfolio, the mix of it, their comfort level, and you even mentioned their expertise in that area. So it does change.
Is there? I hear mixed signals. The administration says yes, we're trying to give away a lot of money, and the industry says no, we're not giving away any money or lending any money.
Okay.
So where from
first
your
of all,
perspective?
in the last few years, now you remember I'm old, so I've been doing this for 30-some years.
Wow.
Okay, so in my
you stay young when you're doing what you love. I'm older than she is,
But the way banking, and the economy, we've gone through different cycles in those 30 years, but never what we've gone through in the past several years. And no one could have predicted how the economy worked. SBA lending historically is counter-cyclical to the economy. When things are good, SBA lending is not as popular because banks are taking more risks. And when banks' credit box shrinks, there's more for us as SBA lenders to choose from. So that's how it works historically. Well,
because you're for people who can't get it elsewhere, theoretically.
Right. Credit elsewhere test is the number one rule when you're making an SBA loan. You as the banker are supposed to say, could this person get credit elsewhere on reasonable terms for this particular project? Because the government is not going to put tax dollars out there when these people could get loans elsewhere.
So let's say that again for people, because that's very important, I think. This is money for people who cannot get it elsewhere at a reasonable rate.
At a reasonable terms and rate. Now, SBA loans, the advantage is that they give you a longer payback period, so giving you working capital, improving your cash flow over a longer period of time. The interest rate is not lower. The interest rate is more desirable on a conventional basis. But that's good, because if you can get it, you should get it at the conventional basis. The SBA loans are more expensive. Listen, they're not like somebody
sharks.
Loan sharks. It's not
payday loan.
And it's not right. They're not payday loans. They're not usurious.
So they're just a little
more expensive. But what you're paying a little more for is to have a longer rate, and actually your monthly payment, a longer term. I'm sorry, your payment will be lower, so your monthly cash flow will be improved. And really, we're all about cash flow. The timing of the money in and out of the business is really critical, and that's what the SBA helps you to do. It gives you 10 years for a working capital loan, as opposed to a line of credit that they might lend you for working capital, but you have to make it zero for 30 days out of the year, and you can't do it. No. So the advantage to SBA loans is in the term, and also in the industry, the banks are getting a 75% usually. There's definitely different programs with different percentages, but in general, a 75% guarantee to make this loan. So they're at risk always for 25% of the outstanding amount.
The government's guaranteeing about 75% of the loan.
Right.
So if you loan me money and I go bust, you're going to get 75% from the government.
Assuming that I did my job as a lender and protected their interests properly and followed the rules. But yes, theoretically, that's exactly how it works.
Now, the 25% you're saying?
The bank's at risk for that.
I see, right.
But, if you come in and you're making, you have a business and there's a reasonable chance that you're going to succeed, and we take whatever collateral is available. That's something that people don't realize. They think that they can get an SBA loan and not put up collateral. That's not the rule. It's still a bank, and really the bank is acting, and that's another thing. When you're looking for a lender, you should find a lender that is called a preferred lender. That's a status that's granted to banks who do specialize in SBA lending.
I mean, you could be SBA lender and not preferred?
Yeah. You could be an SBA lender and not have attained preferred lending status. Preferred lending status means that I make, because we're a preferred lender, SBA loans unilaterally. We are delegated to approve SBA loans for the agency because we have so much experience. We know all the rules and regs. So we do it. We get the SBA guarantee on it. Other lenders who don't have as much experience, they gather all the information from the owner and then they send it to the SBA and they say, listen, our bank's willing to do this. Will you guarantee it? So the decision is with the SBA. So it's a longer process, but it still works. Still works.
Because you're
the preferred lender is the way to go.
Yeah, because then you eliminate part of the risk.
You eliminate wasting your time.
Right, exactly.
And your time is
the risk
valuable.
of getting or not getting the money.
Correct. And you would know that from me, right away.
Right. So I could go into a preferred lender like you, talk about my business or whatever, and you could get a sense. And what kind of paper do you need?
Okay. Well, that's the thing about a preferred lender, and especially our bank and other lenders that, So
and now we have to say, it's not just the banker, but they have a team. And Lynn has got a team that
$80 a piece.
She's got a team that is so awesome that around here we refer to them as Lynn's Angels.
And they are wonderful. They're wonderful.
And they are amazing. And that's they really get what we're about, and that's so important.
So nice.
That's one of the that's one of the values of the preferred lenders who have they understand kind of what your business is and
I'd like to pay. What do I have to come in with to show you?
Okay. You know what? You do have to come in with everything, but you don't have to come into me because we're a preferred lender with anything that you wouldn't have to come into a regular bank with.
Right.
You need financial information, and depending on where you are in your business cycle, depends on what you're going to be able to bring me. If you're a startup, we have a whole list of things that I want to see. Most importantly, a business plan.
Right.
Okay, and then we could go on and on and tell you what needs to be in the business plan. But if you are already an established business and you're looking to expand or grow, you need to have your last 3 years of tax returns, both personally and for the business, and you need to have a financial statement that's no older than 90 days that the management has prepared, and that's what we're going to look at, and a list of what you want your money for. That's the starting point. There's really not more information that you need up front. It's the same thing.
And
as far as the paperwork is concerned for the government, any preferred lender that's worth their weight does the paperwork for the borrower. We can't create your financial information. I can't do your cash flows, but I can analyze them and then put them
in the paper.
My angels, put them all on the paper, sign right here. You don't have to deal with government paperwork. We do the paperwork for you. You have to give me the stuff that's particular to your company that I would not have any way of getting. And then, we analyze it.
I would assume somebody,
an accountant
or the Small Business Development Centers.
Exactly. They help you.
There's a way to do it for free.
Absolutely. Right. The Small Business Development Center, SCORE.
Exactly.
They are all available to help you.
Well, that's terrific. So you've been at this 30 years?
Yeah.
And you have 2.
We didn't know
each other. I wish we had.
We could have solved so many problems.
Right, exactly.
A lot of our development was kind of in the research area before we could really go to market. We're only gone to market for about the past 6 months or so.
Doing this?
I've done a lot. No, I was a consultant. I failed at a lot of different things.
As most entrepreneurs, by the way.
I had a software company in the 70s.
But this company, we started this company a little more than 10 years ago.
Wow.
And we could use our own product, but only on a consulting basis. We had to spend lots of money to build a way to interface and automatically deliver the reports. You get the report as soon as you've taken the assessment.
Match.com.
So, well, we needed that kind of heavy-duty technology.
Exactly.
And so by getting the SBA loan, and that's why it was so valuable for Lynn to really understand, and the whole Susquehanna gang.
Do what?
You're right. Well, she got it.
The thing is that she came to us at the right time. If she would have come to me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, where they were just doing research and development. SBA, that's not what they do. I mean, you'd need to have some kind of venture backing, and at that point, that would have meant her giving up ownership of her company, and that's not what she would have wanted to do.
No, she needed help.
She came to us. She had lots of equity invested into her business already, so she didn't come and ask for all the money to do this and build this and have the idea. She came to us at a point where she's ready to take this to market, and she could actually give me a projection of how she was going to pay the money back, because she was going to sell these risk-based assessments at $80 a pop, and we're online, and now we don't have to just deliver to people that I can see, feel, and touch. I can do role-based assessments in, where are you? Across the globe.
We are literally.
Well, that's the thing.
Singapore and...
and she had to be able to deliver be at the point where she can deliver a product. Now, when you're opening a restaurant, it's another story. You're pretty much delivering a product right away. So it's a whole different analysis. But we lend to all types of businesses. But she came at the right time. The most difficult, the most difficult time to get an SBA loan is the first loan. The startup loan is always the hardest to get.
No, to me, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be creative enough to find a way around that.
And you know what? If the most important thing to an SBA lender is your ability to generate cash flow to service the debt. So if you can already show that your product or service is marketable and you can produce a bottom line, then the SBA can work with projections and so forth. If you're kind of at square one, it's more difficult. It's more, but there's ways around it.
Yes, get a sale for
But you know what's really popular, though, is buying an existing business. And there's lots of baby boomers that are ready to sell their businesses and move to Florida and play lousy golf.
Not us.
But there are a lot of them.
And
actually, that was a market that we were really looking closely at in 2008, before September of 2008. But those people, now they're starting again to think about selling their businesses. Their businesses, froze just like everyone else's. And you don't want to sell your business when the last 3 years the trends are going down. So now, starting in 10, things started to get better for a lot of businesses in 11. So now in 12 and 13 and 14, I think we're going to see that. And that's another way for people to get in the door, is to buy an existing business, and then there's a little bit of a track record. And SBA is good with that, because the problem is collateral, and collateral is made up with that 75% guarantee. It's, can you pay the loan back? That's what we want.
Well, you guys, terrific. Well, I'm going to be here 30 years, and it sounds like you guys are going to be here 30 years, too.
At least.
We're going to be
at least, right?
Are they
absolutely. And absolutely. And we'd like to help everybody who's watching this, so if they just contact us.
That's terrific. I
absolutely.
I was afraid to ask initially, because I don't know, this is probably for something for,
No, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's terrific. Great stuff.